The key differentiator in Scribe is the structure tab. But for the last several updates, we haven't added anything new in the structure tab. With 0.4.14 beta, that is going to change. When you launch Scribe, this is what you're greeted with. You have the screenplay editor right here. You can pull out the scenes list and you can go on adding scenes and create content of your screenplay. The structure tab allows you to visually capture the shape, flow, and structure of your screenplay. A very popular structure is the 3-act structure. In this video, I want to quickly show you how you can capture the 3-act structure of your screenplay. This is the structure tab, and this is the canvas on which all the scenes that you create are going to be plotted and placed. What I'm going to do is make use of the new feature in Scribe called Annotations to help create the 3-act structure visually in this canvas. So I'm going to have this canvas, I'll zoom out a bit, and then I click on the plus button here, go to Annotations, and I'm going to add a horizontal line. So when I add a horizontal line, it shows up on the canvas like this. And let's say we're going to place all of our scenes in and around this scaffolding. Let's say this line represents the timeline of my screenplay. So I have this horizontal line, the story starts from here and goes all the way until here. In between, I have 2 plot points. So I have a vertical line which represents plot point 1, and let me copy that and I'll paste it here, and this vertical line would represent plot point 2, right? So I have a skeleton framework on which I can place my scenes in this 3-act structure. So I'm going to start placing the scenes here. So this is my first scene, another scene, right? And we go on placing more and more scenes in my screenplay. You know, when you're writing, you might want to just have the 3-act structure as a skeleton, and initially you're just going to have some sample scenes that will happen in inside of the 3-act structure of your screenplay, right? And once you finish the basic template, once you have the building blocks of your screenplay in place, you may then want to fill in additional details, right? But initially, you might just want to have a skeleton, on a basic structure of your screenplay, and that's what the structure tab allows you to capture. So I'm going to now color code each of my scenes. So let's say, let's zoom fit again, and let's say the scenes that show up in Act 1 are going to be in, let's say, green color, right? And the scenes that are going to be in Act 2 are, let's say, purple color. And finally, the scenes that are going to show up in Act 3 are, let's say, in brown color, right? So I'm just going to color code this. This is my overall structure of the screenplay, right? So I can then go select the first scene and then pull out this part here, and I can start typing in the content of my scene right here. Set up the characters and set up the environment in which these characters are. And then in the second scene, I might want to describe the conflict or the main challenge that these characters are facing. And this is the plot point, right? And then we go about setting up the confrontation or the various things that happens before we enter into the resolution stage of our screenplay. I might want to add some more annotations here, like for example, a text annotation where I can say this is Act 1, right? And this is where I'm going to set up my story. So this is Act 1. I'll copy this, paste it here, and this would be Act 2. And this is where I'm going to construct the confrontation or the challenge of the characters in my screenplay, right? And let me copy that and paste it, and this would be the resolution. Act 3, resolution. Right? So if I was writing a screenplay like Lagan, for example, Act 1 is where I would set up the environment, the village, there's a drought, there's no rains, right? And then I will set up Bhuvan as the main character, and then his love interest in Gauri, and all of that. So that's the setup phase. Plot point 1 would be the scene where Captain Russell challenges Bhuvan, and his villagers, that if you can beat our team in a game of cricket, then I'll waive the taxes for you for 3 long years. And then we have the rest of that's when we enter into Act 2. And in Act 2 we have the rest of the story, where a lot of confrontation happens. Russell's sister decides to help Bhuvan and team, and these people, Bhuvan is struggling really hard to put together a team, and finally he's able to enroll a bunch of guys from his village into a team, and then Russell's sisters helps play the game and all of that. Plot point 3 is, in my opinion, the place where there's this one character in Lagan who is actually playing for Russell, but then when he gets discovered by Bhuvan and his team, they chase him to the temple, and then there is this major shift in loyalties that this character goes through. That's kind of where the second plot point happens, and then we enter into the resolution phase. Let's say I was writing Lagan. What I would do is just basically say setup, confrontation, and resolution, and I'm going to have a bunch of scenes like this, and I'm going to put together the initial set of scenes. And then as we move along, we're going to add more and more and more scenes to add more content into my screenplay. So now that we have all of these scenes in my structure canvas, I have to lay them out into my timeline. I have to actually bring them into my timeline, otherwise they're not going to be a part of my screenplay at all. So right now it's a very simple job. I'm just going to select all of the scenes in my screenplay, right click and say, hey, add to timeline, right? So all of these scenes, they just show up in my timeline, and they are part of my screenplay. So if I pull out the screenplay tab now, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of scenes in my screenplay, right? I still have to type the content of my screenplay. It's not yet done, but the sequence of scenes in my screenplay is kind of handled at this point, right? You can do more with annotations. Let me turn off the preview for a bit, right? You can do more with annotations. For example, let's say I want to add some more meta information for as notes or as references. So I can add a image annotation, and then I can go here and go to pictures. I've downloaded some images. I say, hey, this is how the village should look like, right? So this is the village of Lagan, right? So I'm going to have this village image out here, and let's say I have another one image. This is how I would like. I'm imagining the houses would look like in the village of Champaner, right? So I have the houses here, and Captain Russell's office is also another very important thing in my story. So I'm going to, while I'm writing, I just have an imagination of the office, because I'm going to use this imagination to write a lot of scenes in my screenplay. So it may be important for me to just have this image show up in my structure as well. Can you see it's adding more rich information, into your screenplay? Let's say I also want to capture a website link here. I researched on the internet, and I found out there is this YouTube video which talks about the first Indian cricket team. Maybe I want to research that, right? So I'm just going to note down that URL here. So the moment I put the website address and hit the enter key, Scrite is going to go out and fetch some metadata about this YouTube video, so that it's also present in my structure canvas, right? So in addition to being able to capture the structure inside the structure tab within Scrite, you will also be able to share it with other people. So one way to share it is, of course, to share the .scryte file so that they can open it in Scryte and they'll be able to interact with this very rich document. But the other way is PDF. So you can go to import export, select on export, and then select the screenplay structure. Now this would allow you to export just the contents of your structure tab into a PDF. So if I go to the generated PDF file now, you'll notice that this entire document, the entire structure tab, is actually in the PDF. And so, the flow of scenes, the Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and all of the images that you have in the structure tab, everything gets exported to the PDF as well, including the link itself. So you actually get a click here to open the link inside the PDF file. So if you click on that, it's going to open that YouTube video for you. So like this, in addition to just writing your screenplay with 0.4.14, you can capture a lot more inside the structure tab, visually capturing the flow of scenes in your story. Very beneficial for visual thinkers. I know there are a lot of writers who just like to go scene after scene after scene after scene after scene, but there are also writers who probably want to have a more elaborate tool to capture the structure of their screenplay. So this is available in 0.4.14 beta. Download it, take it for a spin, let us know what you think. We want to have more stuff going on in the structure tab. Let us know what else would you like to see in this tab. Thanks.